Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monique and this is the diary of the B2B Boss. So we are just about to break for the holiday and I just opened up another $20,000 opportunity. And despite being super busy with all of these new clients and new opportunities, I still really want to tell you guys about the rest of my trip back to Asia in October. And so really excited about getting into the rest of the details. And today's focus is really about navigating client relationships in the B2B space. Just because some of these opportunities are just now converting. And so obviously it's about 60 to 90 days later, but that's quite normal in the B2B sales cycle. So we are looking to finish very strong before the end of the new year, leading into 2025. And so as some of you know, my routine consists of going to salons, getting blowouts, meeting clients, eating amazing food, and team meetings. Here we went back up to Shaman and I got my hair done again, and I think we're finally done with the blonde here, and so here's what it used to look like beforehand. But I went in for this honey boba color. Really love how that turned out, and shout out to Martin for his amazing recommendation. I'm just treating my hair with so much care, and we ended up using this Japanese bleach, and it was like a paste, but it didn't feel painful or itchy or anything. And needless to say, it was quite crazy because we actually ended up doing 3 bleaching treatments within the first session. So the whole session took about 4 to 5 hours sitting in the chair, getting it washed several times. We got dinner delivered, and so it was a wonderful experience. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Anyways, I had a couple of days of downtime in the city, so I went to the dentist, had a chance to catch up with my team on some client work that I needed to be present for. And this literally was my favorite tea shop in the entire world. It's called Chachi, and I just love the branding, the taste, and honestly the first time I had this was back in January, and I was buying all sorts of different oolong teas just to try to replicate this taste. And ever since, I've just been hooked on it, and now that I'm back here, I've just about had it every single day. Anyways, did a little bit of shopping over the next couple of days and moved into our main hotel, which was a 2-week stay. And during this time, I had a lot of virtual meetings with the prospects that I had picked up during the event itself and during the last couple of trade shows. So that was quite good. And then here are some of the more of the amazing and delicious foods. I want to do a quick reel just for the appreciation of Chinese cuisine. Okay, so what I really want to get into today is share that, relationships are key. And even when you're across the world, I want to share how I maintain strong relationships and connection whilst traveling for business. And since, I might not always be around, or in person to get that FaceTime, if I could take you with me on my business meetings just to, take you to client dinners, just to show you how I stay on top of emails, Zoom meetings, and meeting with my clients back in the States, back home. The time zone change was definitely a little crazy, but I leverage a lot of technology to make all of this happen. So I'm going to share with you the 5 main strategies that I used in my businesses as a B2B boss. So number 1 is leveraging technology and AI. I know a lot of people have many mixed feelings about that, but we'll talk about that later. Secondly, I leverage a lot of systems, and I can tell you about my own software that we're using as well. So this has been a game changer for my own business and my clients' businesses. Number 3 is that personalization really creates lasting impressions, and I can't stress that enough. Number 4, you want to be a problem solver, so not just a service provider, but really just being there for your clients. And lastly, it's all about consistency and following up and building trust. I know it's a lot easier said than done. So let's jump right in. Number 1 is all about leveraging technology and AI. So I'll just talk about the main ones that I utilize whilst I'm out traveling like this. So for Zoom meetings, I use an AI note taker. And so this is awesome just because within the AI note taker at the end, after the client leaves that Zoom meeting, I stay on for a little bit and then I just assign action items at the end of that meeting, right? So I send a quick breakdown of what is needed from my team, what's needed from the client, and then I go ahead and forward that recording over to my team, and then the AI note taker actually provides them a really nice summary, and then it provides the recording itself, so it gives them an opportunity to be able to go back and just double check on those action items that are summarized right then and there. So that's definitely been super helpful. So number two, we're also quite crazy about tracking data and metrics. We also utilize a pretty thorough CRM system that has a lot of automations for things like follow-up and things like that as well whilst I travel. So I'll also go ahead and share a link to my software here in the description below. It's called Davitas Pro, and Davitas is the name of my agency. So Davitas actually means of speed in French. And so our whole theme, our whole vibe is where speed meets success. So our software basically comes with a lot of different templates as well. So these are some templates that you might be able to utilize in your own business, and it comes with funnels, automations, the ability to build your own websites, social media scheduling, additional forms for lead magnets, and most importantly, a CRM tracking system that allows you to be able to keep track of where your prospects are in the process or the pipeline. And it can also help assign action items and things like that for your team as well. So this has been super helpful and such a game changer for our clients just because they have so many different softwares, and honestly this has been able to consolidate 10 softwares into one, which is super cool. So if you want more info on that, just let me know. I could probably do a whole dedicated video on my software. Number three, I really want to talk about this because I don't hear many people talking about it enough, but I do believe that personalization really creates lasting impressions. And I think this is the very reason why so many people work with us at the end of the day. And so, it's very understated and not a lot of people do this. It's literally so easy to do. And all you have to do is really just connect in that follow-up email and just mention something that was personal that you might have just have talked to them about and connected with them in person whilst you're at the trade show. So it's really critical to actually have this conversation whilst you're meeting there right then and there at their booth, because you want to share something that's memorable. And when you're following up as well, they'll be able to connect you and two together because they're meeting hundreds of other people at their booth as well. And so one example I want to share is that this one time I was meeting at a trade show, and I ended up meeting another BMW guy. And so he was working at a competing booth. However, he was not afraid to share his pride that he also drove a BMW, which I also drive. So he loves the company he works for, but obviously at the end of the day, he always grew up with BMWs, and so he has a lot of pride for them. So when I sent my follow-up email, I actually sent him a photo of my own BMW build as well, and so we connected instantly. And so when you really personalize these touches or some of these connections, it really helps to create these lasting impressions, because at the end of the day, when you're doing business with people, these are also people as well, right? And so you have to remember that they're not always just numbers in your pipeline or just names on your email sheet, right? And so the last thing I want to mention is the most important thing, and it's all about consistency and building trust in the B2B space. And so I know this part is easier said than done. And I will say that the name of the game is truly all about connections and following up. They say the fortune is in the follow-up, and so it's important to make sure that you're staying on top of these follow-ups and staying on top of these connections with people, just because you want to remain top of mind. And like I said, these people at the trade shows might have met hundreds and hundreds of people as well. And so we have rules within our team that basically say that we'll continue to reach out, and it might be spread out over various amounts of times. Maybe we'll follow up a couple days later, a week later, a month later, 6 months later, a year later. We'll continue to reach out until the prospect officially says no, or tells us to stop emailing them. At the end of the day, we always want to make sure that we are reaching out and being professionally persistent. This is super important to continue following up just because life gets busy, and I don't think people understand that. I once had a client that really needed our services, but honestly, life just got in the way, and they were so grateful that we had continued to reach out and just continue to remind them. And mind you, I had followed up with this client probably 20 times over 2 years, maybe even more than that actually. I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but anyways, it just goes to show that follow-up and persistence really paid off. This ended up being a $30,000 contract for one of my influencers, and so maybe in one of these future episodes I'll give you more of an in-depth breakdown of my software, as well as how it can help your business, but I'll save that for another time. So we had this software that really helped with the follow-up process and just keeping track of some of these. If we were able to capture their birthday, our software will also send those birthday reminders as well. So we have several reminders baked into the process. So maybe it is more than 20. Let's look back. Those are some of the strategies and tools that I personally use to build and maintain strong client relationships at trade shows or whenever I'm on the go, going for client visits, out of state, out of country. And at the end of the day, it's all about being intentional and staying consistent and showing your clients that they are more than just a number or another name on your list. These are actually people that you want to truly build relationships with and get to know. Whether it's leveraging technology, personalizing your interactions, or simply just following up, these small actions can really make a difference and a massive impact. So I'd love to hear from you. What are some of the strategies that you use to build strong relationships with your client, or if you're just starting out, what is the one thing you'd like to improve on in your client connection strategy in the B2B space? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'd love to start a conversation with you and learn from you too. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes of my diary as a B2B boss. So I've got some exciting things coming up, including more behind the scenes insights from my trip in Asia and some other game-changing lessons that I got from the SEMA trade show that we attended literally right after. So I was running on hopes and dreams at that point. I was so tired just because still super jet lagged, but we just jumped right into another trade show. So with that being said, please stay tuned and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.